Pokemon support. Unauthorized third-party software and/or tools are not authorized for use. Please see Section 5 of our Terms of Use for more information. And there it is. RNG manipulation is against the rules. It's always been cheating. How do we know this? Well, that was the support inquiry. I took this part of Blissy's video and asked, hey, are these tools cheating? Pokemon Company support? Yes, because it violates Section 5. What's Section 5? Oh, you can't decompose, disassemble, or reverse engineer any part of the service. That also goes with, hey, look at that. No unauthorized bots, mods, hacks, or scripts either. Then people say, but RNGing isn't hacking. Yeah, you're not directly hacking. However, the software, the RNG tools, the RNG software is unauthorized because it cannot exist without violating the rules. You must hack the game to reverse engineer the seed to make the programs that can find you whatever you're looking for inside the game. The Pokemon Company and Nintendo don't want you hacking their console or games for any reason at all. Wow, who would have guessed that any kind of hacking or manipulation means that your Pokemon is illegal? You have to be an idiot or malicious to deny this, and you don't even need the terms of service because it's always been in the VGC rules. The use of external devices such as a mobile app to modify or create items or Pokemon in a competitor's battle team is expressly forbidden. Items included. So that means any kind of manipulation, such as the item printer, for items to use on your Pokemon means that those items are illegal. And we can prove this even further because guess what? The Pokemon Company doesn't want any hacking involved in any way when it comes to Pokemon legality, which is why you can't even breed hacked parents. So you get a hacked 6IV Ditto from a giveaway, or you just hack one yourself or have a friend hack you one and then you use that for breeding. All of the offspring are cheated, confirmed by Pokemon support. We are not in a position to discuss the specific terms of legality for Pokemon. However, all Pokemon must be obtained through legitimate in-game means, and that means all Pokemon. Wow, who would have guessed you can't cheat your way out of cheating? Therefore, if a Pokemon is bred from illegitimately obtained Pokemon, it is not considered legal, nor is a Pokemon that is otherwise impossible to obtain through normal means in-game. And that's another part of Pokemon legality. Normal gameplay. It is not normal gameplay to hack into the game to reverse engineer the RNG seed to create a program that gives you the rarest items in the game automatically. Wow, it turns out this rule about a children's game is incredibly easy to understand, and the only way to misinterpret it is if you're evil and desperately looking for an excuse to cheat. Especially when you go back to Generation 5 at the sheer impossibility of obtaining 6IV shiny legendary Pokemon for perfect hidden power, where, oh, yeah, RNGing is not normal or natural gameplay in any way. Bypassing the billions or trillions of odds is cheating because it's not natural gameplay. Again, it is impossible for any of these RNG tools to exist without hacking, and it's impossible for any human to find this out on their own and then recreate it for some kind of chart. And these Pokemon weren't even RNG'd. They were straight up hacked because Wolf can't even get a legitimate team of Pokemon in modern Pokemon where training takes less time than RNGing and training back in Generation 5. And then it turns out every top player and influencer in VGC is a liar and cheater. Blissy has lied multiple times because people say, oh, but Wolf's 2016 Worlds Raichu, that was RNG'd from Blissy's video. Except Blissy admits that RNGing didn't exist for Wolf's team, so that video is just a lie. But it's a completely fraudulent video. And that's not me making an unsupported crazy claim. Actually, the maker of the video saved me a lot of time by confirming the video is fraudulent himself. You see, there's a teensy-weensy little problem. RNG was not possible at the time Wolf and Marcus made their teams. And there's tons of documentation around this, on top of the admittance, once again, from the video maker. The video is a complete lie to say competitive Pokemon in Generation 6 when talking about the team that was acquired in 2016. And even then, RNG wasn't possible without hacking until very recently, so the whole thing is fraudulent. Unfortunately, that's just the tip of the bad actor Bliceberg. That looked better on script. So in the replies, they say RNGing is completely legal, which is crazy considering it can only exist through hacking the game and reverse engineering hidden RNG generation, and then has to use other hidden values like secret IDs. Hello Pokemon TOS. Then, this is used to create Pokemon in a player's team. Hello VGC Rules. No wonder no former Pokemon champion has come out saying, man, it took a long time, but that RNG was worth it to win Worlds, because they know they would get in trouble. Alright, so you want to win the argument? Have Cybertron come out as a Pokemon Company employee and make the official statement that he RNG'd back in Generation 5, because we know he did. Hello, 1 in trillions of odds. So Blissy is a compulsive liar to defend cheating inside of Pokemon VGC. Who would have guessed? And then Wolfe Glick, who has cheated his entire time in Pokemon, continues to cheat and then lie about it.
And I'm hoping that a large part of that is due to a lack of knowledge by people who are being hateful on how breeding mechanics and stuff works, and how VGC and stuff worked. To a Raichu event back in Gen 5, but it was male only, so you couldn't pass down the ball. And so because of that, and that actually is an interesting point, you can't legally get a Raichu in a Dream Ball without hacking is what you could believe. But the thing is that if you are traded a Raichu that has been hacked and you breed from it, and the Raichu is female and it's in a Dream Ball, you can obtain perfectly legal Pichu eggs that are totally legal and in Dream Balls just because the parent was hacked.
How that didn't just completely end Wolfe's career back in 2016, I'll never know, but it speaks to the toxicity, brattiness, and how awful the Pokemon community is. So this revelation popped up because on my second channel, formerly Verlisify's Hot Takes, I've been re-uploading a lot of the classic cheater exposed videos. That way it's in a nice archive instead of having to dig back thousands of videos and many years to find good content about what's been going on in the Pokemon community. Especially as YouTube suppresses older content more and more, the archive is very powerful, but we still have some classic Verlisify Hot Takes videos still on the channel, such as Weedle Twin Needle getting exposed as a predator. And then we have Poketips deliberately exploiting children, so all the bad stuff that's always been going on in the Pokemon community in a more accessible place, and there's going to be videos coming out every day for a while, so please put all of your support into this channel, because that is how the YouTube algorithm works, that if you watch someone's video and another video of theirs pops up, you need to click on it and then watch all of it, and then like, comment, subscribe, share, all of that fun stuff, because that's the only thing the algorithm cares about right now. So if you really want to make an impact for good in this world against the evil of the Pokemon community, overly support this channel. It's not as shadow banned by YouTube, and it's not as dislike botted as this one, and it's peak Verlisify, so you're going to get the best content. Just chain watch it, it's all on a playlist, and then realize oh wow, Verlisify always right. It's been worse than I remember. It was worse than you remember, and it's just as bad now. And that's where we have the video you're watching, because my old video, Pokemon Company Confirms You Can't Breed Hack Parents, is one of the most important videos I ever made, because the big thing back in the day was, oh, well, 6IV Dittos that are hacked don't matter because the child Pokemon is legal. That's always been a lie. No hacking in your game whatsoever. RNG is against the rules. Any hacks that touch anything in your game. Because people are oh, what if I hack in Master Balls, or if I hack in rare candies or vitamins and stuff? No, it's no hacking! How hard is it to understand? That's the same thing I've been yelling in my videos for the last decade. But those cheating scumbags can never accept it, and then those clips from Wolfe are in this video, and now that we have the context of Wolfe's career-long cheating, as well as him defending the people that cheated at Pokemon Worlds 2023, and all the other evil shit he's done, it's oh wait, that's worth a more modern revisit. Because it truly exposes Wolfe as a cheating fraud that knows nothing about Pokemon and has just lied his way to the top the entire time. And he needed a lot of help from a lot of people. The entirety of the Pokemon company being corrupt, as well as the entirety of the Pokemon community to suppress me, to prop him up. And that's also something I've brought up in other recent videos, where it's it really was an effort by the entire Pokemon community to make sure Wolfe rigged his way to winning Worlds that year after I 100% confirmed he's a cheater. He knows nothing about Pokemon legality because he's never been a legitimate player for a moment in his time in Pokemon, and that's where you can really see the evil in Wolfe back in 2016 to defame me over catching him for cheating, and then it happened again with the Moltres. The Pokemon Company posted his rental team from Players Cup 2. I looked at it and went, wow, this whole team is sus. wow, these odds, while not being as crazy as the Raichu, are really reminiscent of the time he cheated for 2016 Worlds, and then also all the times before that in Generation 5, where he had full teams of shiny, hacked legendary Pokemon and hidden power. Of course, it's not legit, ever. And then it goes back to Verlisify always being right. My hunch that career cheater Wolfe Glick cheated again for the Players' Cup with a suspicious team got, like, confirmed by Cafotics, and then, like, extra dove into and confirmed, and then also his 25th anniversary team was hacked, and then everything that Kurt posts is like, oh yeah, 508 EVs, that's hacked. Warning flashbang. Legit players are overcapping EVs almost every single time, and then players with 508 EVs, they're just exporting from Pokemon Showdown and injecting it in, and then same thing on the PP ups. Guys, this is Generation 9 PP ups, so like full team of full PP ups is overwhelmingly hacked when you can buy them. So even if you think, oh, there was less cheating in Generation 8 or Generation 7 because it was more accessible to get competitive Pokemon, especially with like hyper training and stuff, no, like it was always just insane amounts of hacks and cheating, especially with people using hack saves that have 999 rare candies and PP ups. None of it was legit because Pokemon VGC has never ever had any amount of legitimacy. That's always been 99% cheaters. And then much like with the no hacking touching your game ever, you can't even breed hacked parents, Verlisify always being right, all of my hunches of, even if it's slightly suspicious, full teams of shiny Pokemon, always hacked. There's so much hacking in the Pokemon community that the result is, if it's just slightly funny, yeah, it turns out that person's cheating the entire time. No surprise, Pokemon community gets mad at me for being against cheating. And because Wolfe has now been proven beyond any doubt to actually be evil, he deliberately cheats and lies about it to steal tens of thousands to like over $100,000 in prize money, and then slanders anyone that catches him for his cheating. He also defends this behavior to justify it to his mostly young audience, and then the result is, oh, he's actually just making the Pokemon community a more evil place for everyone engaging with it. So this guy says that the animation shown in my videos is a Cherish Ball. That the pink cloud, and also if you actually like watch the videos of him using this Raichu, it's a straight up Dream Ball, is a Cherish Ball. Also, that the Dream Ball did not exist in Generation 6, it did not exist in Generation 5, it was introduced in Generation 7 for the Dream World. And then in my own video, I show a picture of Raichu's stats and moves of a different Raichu. So that's another like crazy thing. That I clearly showed two different Raichu being hacked for different reasons, that he had two of his Raichu that he used at Worlds. Those are the ones in Cherish Ball, but it's a discontinued event that would be 1 in 25 million soft resetting, and also you had to do like certain things to unlock the event, that it wasn't just a free download, that you had to sign up for the Pika Cup, complete in 3 battles, download the code off of the Pokemon Global Link website, and then redeem it within a certain time frame. If you didn't do that, no Raichu, and that was over a year before Worlds came out. And then he had 2 of them, which didn't belong to his native region of the game when the 3DS is going to be region locked. With 500,000 hours of soft resetting and perfect legendary Pokemon after he had perfect shiny legendary Pokemon with hidden power and stuff in previous generations, no one has ever been that lucky in the history of mankind, let alone also be one of the top players. The only reason Wolfey won or got any status is because he hacked Pokemon that were humanly impossible to obtain to have better stats than anyone playing legitimately. So no wonder most of his audience is going to be influenced to be evil themselves. Like the amount of lying it takes to say like Dream Ball didn't exist until Generation 7 and then confuse the 2 Raichu when it's beyond a doubt that like this cannot exist under any circumstance. And then when I asked them, hey, can you explain, if you give me a step-by-step of how to obtain this Raichu, they just go off into some derangement like this. And then, in other absolute examples of Wolfe Glick being a cheater, like with Kurt's data mine, they still can't accept it because they're evil scumbags because their idol is an evil scumbag. Also, another flashbang warning. I just noticed this in the Google Doc as I was clicking off of it, but yeah, also count of team members from OT. So the more not OT Pokemon you have, of course, yeah, you're cheating because you're not getting any of the Pokemon yourself, which goes back into Wolfe's team for Players Cup 2. Anything sus is cheating, who would have guessed? But also, going back to the video I started this video on, so we've gone down some like crazy tangents, but just kind of showing, it is just that much of a rabbit hole now going back to like exposing how Wolf knows nothing about how the game works and is just like twisting himself in knots to justify blatant cheating that is not allowed in the rules, where that's why that video is so important. Pokemon Company support saying all Pokemon must be obtained through legitimate in-game means, which is the only interpretation of the Pokemon VGC rules, unless you're a cheater trying to justify cheating, because of course you're not doing anything legitimate in-game when you're RNG manipulating in Generation 5 or even Generation 6, but I'm a Blissy also admitted that RNG manipulation did not exist during Generation 6's lifetime, so that wasn't even an option to WolfeyVGC. RNG manipulation is clearly not a legitimate in-game method for obtaining Pokemon, which is also further confirmed by recent responses from Pokemon Company support, where people are also saying, well, oh, Wolfey can just have other fans get his Pokemon for him. Or Pokemon is already pay to win as it is, even though that's a complete fucking lie, that the $500 and few hundred hours to get competitive in Pokemon makes it the most accessible sport and popular esport ever. If you're actually going to be competitive in an esport, you need to spend well over $1,000 for your rig. That includes your peripherals. You need a high refresh rate, low latency monitor. Those get expensive real quick. Better keyboard, mouse, and then your computer actually has to be able to run the game at a crazy high frame rate, or you are at a physical disadvantage. Even Super Smash Bros. Melee is going to be more expensive than Pokemon, because if you want to be competitive, you need a very expensive controller that goes over $400. You also need a backup. Now, it might not be as good as your main controller, but that's still going to be another $100 or $200, and then there's replacement parts and maintenance. So yeah, just like playing Smash Bros. For a couple of years, that's already more expensive. And then just the complete BS of the non-existent person starting in the middle of Generation 9 competitive while having 0 Pokemon games before and 0 experience, expecting to perform at a top level in a VGC event. It just doesn't exist. Literally no one bought Pokemon Sword and Shield because they were unable to get an Urshifu for Pokemon VGC. So the entire argument was just bullshit anyways. So outside of the direct pay-to-win lie, a lot of people just say, well, we can't make Pokemon VGC about who has the bigger wallet and can just buy all their Pokemon, therefore hacking makes it an even playing field. Which is, again, the dumbest thing I've ever heard that doesn't exist in any other form of competition ever, that cheating is used to justify fairness. That's literally the main argument in Pokemon VGC, because I've destroyed all other arguments through videos like this. But no, I emailed Pokemon Company support, and they say that under the TOS, so yes, the TOS for Pokemon and its games also applies to Pokemon VGC. The use of the service or content for commercial purposes is forbidden. So selling Pokemon is against the rules, and a sold Pokemon now becomes illegal for VGC. Also, inside the TOS, it says no hacking or disassembling any of the game's features or functions. The only way you can make a tool that uses an RNG seed to get the output you want is by reverse engineering the RNG functions of the game, making any Pokemon obtained through the RNG method TOS violating, therefore illegal, and obviously not a legitimate in-game mean, and even inside the Pokemon VGC rules it says natural gameplay. Using an unauthorized third-party app to get the Pokemon results you want is not natural gameplay. Also, Wolf getting busted with his 25th anniversary team, and this team is extra funny because people say, oh, Wolfey's the most popular VGC player, so of course he can get other people to get Pokemon for him. But then that just exposes that the most popular VGC player cannot obtain legal Pokemon from others, so that also removes any issue with buying Pokemon. And then they also try to take modern Wolfey instead of 2016 Wolfey and say like, yeah, well, he just got the world's Raichu from really dedicated fans, when like he didn't even have a large enough fan base to have people reset an exclusive event 25 million times for him, which never happened. Because Wolf has always used cheated Pokemon, and he does so deliberately, because when you get caught multiple times like this, you can't play stupid anymore, where it's like, oh, the Raichu that I quote-unquote got from someone else in 2016 was hacked. How could this have happened? It won't happen again. Oh no, the Moltres I got from someone else was hacked. How could this happen? It won't happen again. Oh no, the Groudon and Incineroar I got from other people were hacked. How could this happen? Won't happen again. Even though he then defends cheating at 2023 World Championships. And it just like, the old stuff just reveals how vile of a person Wolfey is, because he reached out to me. I saw your tweets and wanted to chat in a more private setting, and then people would be like, oh, Verlisify is in the wrong for exposing DMs. If someone admits to doing wrong, that should be exposed regardless. If the world champion of a competitive discipline admits in DMs that they cheat, then that information should just go out to the world for the health of the competitive scene and also the rightful punishment of that individual. So the goal, he wanted to understand my side better and offer a perspective. And this thing, like, there's nothing more to understand. Cheating is wrong. There's no other perspective that, yes, you can disagree with the rules, but that you have to protest the rules in a valid way. Deliberately breaking the rules and then lying about it to steal prize money is not a valid form of protest or way to argue that the rules are flawed in some kind of way. You abstain. And if that negatively impacts the events, then the event operator is going to have to make some kind of response. But you don't get to have your cake and eat it too. And we also need to understand that this is Wolfe Glick in 2016 on his Worlds run, who has also been in World Championship Finals, not understanding Pokemon rules.
And I'm hoping that a large part of that is due to a lack of like knowledge by people who are like being hateful on like how breeding mechanics and stuff works that has been hacked, and you breed from it, and the Raichu's female and it's in a dream ball. You can like obtain perfectly legal Pichu like eggs that are like totally legal and in dream balls just because the parent was hacked.
Yo, I just realized this means Wolf extra cheats, because to get Volt Tackle, which is on the Raichu that he used, you need to have Destiny Knot and Light Ball, so no Everstone to pass on the nature. He always used a hacked 6IV Ditto, and then he hacked in a Dream Ball Raichu because he thought it looked cool, and he knows just barely enough about the breeding mechanics to actually make a Pokemon, but because he's hacking to begin with, he can't understand the legality behind it. And here's all the proof you need for that, even though I've explained it many times, but as we've shown, Wolfey fans are disingenuous and evil. So we go Pikachu, we go over here, Global Link event only, level 10. What's that? Oh, it's a Dream Ball. These are the lowest level Pokeballs for Generation 6, so because it is not level 1, you cannot breed this into a Raichu, because male Pokemon never pass down their balls. The initial event was male only. Verlisify, always right. If you ever want to understand my side better, read the Pokemon VGC rulebook. But somehow that's offensive to Wolfe Glick. My goal in general is to grow Pokemon and grow VGC to gain more exposure. I mean, that's all I've ever been here for, and my philosophy is that you can't have a healthy scene that's filled with corruption and cheating and the toxicity that we see. If Wolfe Glick and everyone else that's been caught with cheated Pokemon or had Pokemon disqualified at events got permanently banned from VGC, the scene would explode and flourish overnight unlike anything we've ever seen in the Pokemon community. You cannot have growth and you cannot have a legitimately healthy scene if there's zero competitive integrity because of all the cheating that's going on. So he's concerned with the witch hunt mentality I have against cheating. And that also kind of like shows with his response where he didn't know that it was impossible to get that Raichu, and then he's like, well, you can believe it's from an exclusive event, even though it's like, no, those are the facts. There's no, you can choose to believe the facts. It's the facts.
Like, you can't legally get a Raichu in a Dream Ball without hacking is like what you could believe.
And because he got busted for understanding nothing about Pokemon, he then had to make up the lie that, oh, well, you can just breed hacked parents and it's okay. Even though it was also in the rules, clearly that's like, no hacking of any kind can create a legal Pokemon in any setting in Pokemon VGC. And then, over 7 years later, he takes the same energy into his video defending cheating at the Pokemon World Championships in 2023. So Wolfe Glick has always been a cheater, with zero respect for the rules or Pokemon, that has also defended other cheaters under the guise of growing Pokemon and VGC. And then my response is the same thing I've always said. At the end of the day, it's breaking the rules. That's it. And then he tries to get philosophical about it. I guess the biggest question I have for you is, how does the way another player plays their game have an impact on how you enjoy it? Well, cheating and hacking are malicious acts, And by someone cheating in a Pokemon for use in multiplayer, that diminishes the work I've put into the game. And then if it comes into VGC, the rules are being broken. That is deliberate infliction of harm on someone else through disadvantaging them to deprive them of an opportunity to gain status or money. And then we can see how much of a faux intellectual fraud Wolfey really is. I would argue there is no best way to play the game in general, and you could definitely argue there's no right way to play the game. If you're in a multiplayer setting, breaking the rules and hacking the game to disadvantage others is absolutely objectively a wrong thing to do. But because Wolfey is a cheater before, during, and after this conversation, he just can't comprehend the mind of a legitimate player who is a good and honest person. And then he's also lied about me, where it's like I went 0-4 at my only regionals. No, I went to a regionals before that one. Who knows, whatever tournament organization issues happened that gave me that extra loss, even though I dropped. But no one says 0-3 drop about Verlisify. It's always the biggest lie that has to come through. And somehow it was also just the complete bullshit that was my only regionals performance. And it's also got spun into everything else. That's like, you went 0-4 at your only regionals where you said you went undefeated. It's like, well, now you've conflated 2 regionals and you can't even have like one accurate thing about me. The Verlisify derangement syndrome is absolutely insane. So he talks about how he doesn't watch my content and doesn't actually know my position and is trying to understand it, even though it's just cheating is wrong. And then he also just has to like fabricate things about me, that I'm just a casual fan. But then you make extremely specific statements about how top level competitive Pokemon should be played. Should be played! The rules are how they should be played. There's only one official thing for top level competitive Pokemon, and that's VGC. And there's only one way how it must be played. Also ignoring that my entire channel branding and all my battle videos, and the only thing I've proven up to this point is I am a top level competitive player, where I give accessibility to casuals, kind of be like, hey, here's how you can get in a more accessible way than just like straight going hard into competitive Pokemon, getting completely bodied, and then giving up on it forever because it's too hard. Since I wasn't really aware of how evil Wolfey has been, which, again, the whole cheating defending thing should have tipped me off that he's actually just, like, a straight-up evil person, I let this part slide more than I thought, and I also didn't think it would snowball into further lies from him as well. If you truly feel I'm just a casual fan who plays for the love of the game, where do you draw the authority from to make these claims? One, the official rules. So even as a casual fan, I would have absolute authority to say, yeah, the competitive rules from the developers with the only like standard form of competition through VGC is the absolute authority, but also I never said that or feel that I'm a casual fan who just plays for the love of the game. My love of the game is what has taken me to top levels of competitive. You talk about the spirit of Pokemon and sportsmanship being central pillar to your justification, because that's literally the rules for play Pokemon, is that the spirit of Pokemon and sportsmanship are rule number 1. So again, yeah, Wolf has always been a cheater with zero respect for the rules. Huh. And here's how you know you're dealing with a bad actor, when they just throw in subjective ethics. So yeah, playing with a different set of ethics than you seems to also conflict with the spirit of the game and sportsmanship. So then it tries to like spin it on me, where it's like, well, if you're against the way other people's play, that's unsporting, which makes you a hypocrite. Your entire justification is built off the concept of rules as absolute moral laws. Except it's not. My position is that it's objectively immoral and 100% completely indefensible to opt in to a set of rules with the intention to break them. You said, again, go after the people making the rules. So here's, like, he's trying to take this example of Pokemon where it's just black and white, no cheating, there is no way around it. And because he can't break that argument, he's trying to pull it out to the entirety of, like, society and the world to justify cheating in Pokemon. Listen to me closely here, because it's actually extremely significant. If it's Pokemon's job to make the rules, why do you not feel it's your job to enforce them? I feel like this not is a typo. Like, why do you feel it's my job to enforce the rules? Because that's what good people do. It's impossible for a system to catch all of the illicit activity happening inside of a system. I'm passionate and care about Pokemon. If someone is cheating, they deserve to be caught and punished appropriately. And if that's a flaw in the detection systems, or if that isn't caught by the people organizing the event, it's still correct for someone to point out cheating and then still makes something happen out of it, cheaters deserve to be caught and punished. So since Wolfey is a cheater, he doesn't want cheaters being punished. Also, by this time, I had already shown that the Pokemon Company is corrupt, that they did nothing about Ray Rizzo's Dream Ball Aegislash and his other hacked Pokemon. Same thing that you just turn on VGC at the time, and also all of Generation 5, where, oh, it's just all shiny, hacked, legendary Pokemon battling against each other. Hey, perfect IV hidden power. No one else is able to get that. RNG is against the rules. I was already told that by the Pokemon Company and judges at VGC events. So you just see that, it's like, yeah, something is up. You have Cybertron using hacked Pokemon, getting hired, what happened with Scott Glaza. He's looking out for all of his cheating friends, and then when he sees me at PAX, he changes the rules of an unofficial tournament, leveraging his weight as a Pokemon Company employee to get me disqualified. And then it's only gotten worse from there, Verlisify always right. And then after wasting my time throughout this entire conversation, I don't know much about you. I've never watched one of your videos. I don't know anything about who you are as a person, while making wild assumptions about me outside of my moral and law-abiding stances. We're just like, oh, you're just a casual. Never watch a video and wouldn't know. Crazy. He also believes that the concept of a competitive game being unable to be taken seriously when there's just rampant cheating everywhere is not something that exists in reality. So yeah, that's how evil Wolfe Glick has always been. That's how disgusting the Pokemon community has always been. And I know, like, I felt it in real time when I was getting harassed by Smogon and all these brigading and witch hunting and bandwagoning and doxing and all the other threats and stuff I've received. The Pokemon community is a hateful, toxic, bullying place filled with cheating scumbags and so much. And then as I kept on covering, people were like, oh, you're just an idiot, Verlisify full shiny team doesn't mean hacked. Like, it's always been this way. And maybe you're thinking like, oh, in 2016, surely cheating overflows and the Pokemon Company has to do something about it to protect their own game. The entire community just rallied to cancel me and promote Wolfe Glick, and it turns out he's a cheater at the 2016 World Championships. The Pokemon Company has to take action, right? And then we see all the other cheating things, the 25th anniversary where like all of their invitees got caught with hacked teams, and then 2023, so it's like, oh, yeah, maybe we should have, like, but even then I was covering it. I was talking about how bad it is, cheating's wrong, and then I was even making points in, like, my breeding guides and fan Fridays. The opponent has a full team of shiny Pokemon, of course they're cheating. You go on the Wonder Trade and get a shiny, of course it's hacked. I mean, like 90% of non-shiny Pokemon were hacked. Same thing with EVs and PP-ups and everyone defending their 6IV hacked Ditto, where it's like, I got this off the Wonder Trader, I got this off the GTS, I'm not going to delete it, it's 100% legal, it doesn't matter. So yeah, the Pokemon community has always been consistent with how much cheating and toxicity is going on, even though it might feel like, oh, maybe it was worse back then or it wasn't bad back then as it is now. I'm actually starting to think it's the other way, that it's gotten slightly better over time, only because the community has died off because of this shitty behavior happening for so long. That I was saying this back in 2016, I was saying this back in 2013. We just hack through all the game's content and then cry about the game not having any content inside of it. You're going to burn yourself out, but it's not because of the developers, it's because everyone's cheating. Everyone's cheated for so long. Oh hey, look at that. Verlisify always right. But because of that, there's actually like less people. So maybe it actually isn't as much of a problem, but then at the same time it also condenses. Only the good people leave, and that's also been a big thing about my channel, that people say like, oh, Verlis, it's great to see that you're still making videos. I haven't played Pokemon since Oras, but that's cool. So a huge amount of my audience never unsubbed from me or found me to be a bad person and they left. They just quit Pokemon, and that means they quit me. Because even though it was overwhelmingly cheaters and idiots in the 3DS era, there was also like a lot of good people that just wanted to be legit and wanted to love Pokemon. But they got burned out pretty quick when you hit the wall of toxicity and evil inside this community. And I'm one of the few people remaining. We got some OG fans that are also barely hanging on by a thread. So maybe that's why it didn't feel as bad back then. But then again, you go into the retrospect, it's like, oh, but the cheat defense was still 100%. And these VGC players have always been hacking. And it's one of those things where like you have to be more toxic to deny the hacking back in Generation 5, 6, and 7 than you do now. So it was like more charged because Pokemon was more popular and there was more at stake, but now it's a higher prevalence of also more terminally online people that have just like fucking lost it and become completely worthless. I've been dislike botted and brigading and shadow banned and cancelled and lied about for so long that I can't do anything to push up against it as much as I was. Like, I was the only thing keeping Pokemon together back then. And then you lose Verlisify, and now everything's shit. Cool. So what a video to come out from that. Also, if my voice sounds bad, it's because I'm struggling. No matter what the video length is, there's like an hour and a half of recording, you know, like a lot of retakes and trying to get my point across a little better and trying again and stuff. So my voice is mostly shot. I'm not like sad and that's why I can't finish the sentence and it's sounding bad. Or there's like a tremblingness to my voice. It's not for anything. Like, no matter how much water I drink or G Fuel, when your voice is shot, it gets shot. So yeah, I'm just going to end it. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.